just followed the Ferrari through, focused on your exit from Tete Rouge, and got a good run. What do you lose? A couple of tenths, you know.
Look at the display in front of the driver here. Full course yellow active, it says, for Felipe Albuquerque. And on the right-hand side, the RDS system, slow zone, 80 kph. And then when they get to the green flags, it'll go green. His dash will indicate that as well. And he is right behind 28, I think. That's the EDEC Sport car, isn't it? And who's at the wheel of that? Paul-Luc Chatin. Little moment to think and stretch. And they will go through the slow zone. And then green flags after Tete Rouge and head off down the straight at speed. So Nick de Vries returned roughly to terra firma. We know he's got an engine. Nick de Vries. That'll do nicely.
Yeah.
And they're going to get the rear bodywork, the front bodywork. And Henry the Hoover, I think, will possibly be pressed into service as well to make sure that the underside of the car is free of gravel. It's a race that hasn't gone particularly well for Racing Team Netherlands. They've had a pretty decent run so far in the World Endurance Championship. But this race not being kind to them.
And just looking actually what happened in the sister event for Fritz van Aert with the Tour de France, because he's part of the team that was fighting for victory in the Tour de France, and that slipped away from him today as well.
Has it?
As they go into the Champs-Élysées tomorrow, 59 seconds behind, having gone into today.
Wow. So, yeah, Fritz van Aert sponsoring that team, as he does. He doesn't ride for that team, he just drives for this team. Mind you, I bet he could, well, possibly not, but I'm sure he spends a lot of time on a bike. So back up to speed then, the battle for the lead in LMP2, 32-22 United Autosports, a full 1.6 seconds apart. We're with Alex Brundle, with Felipe Albuquerque rather, chasing Alex Brundle. That'll be that set of lights in front, Jamie.
Well, I'm just looking at the tyre pressure. It's really interesting because they are running 1.75 to 1.8. And it's a big difference, isn't it, between the Michelin runner and the Goodyear runner. We were on board with Davidson earlier, running 2.05 and 2 on the rear. And it's a full sort of 1.75, I think that says. 1.71 even, maybe. So quite a big difference in pressures there.
You know, the pressure is part of the construction rigidity of the tyre, and it's also part of the damping of the car as well. And so it very much depends on the construction of the tyre and what the tyre requires and needs. And that's just part of the whole makeup of it. So some of the tyres, as you know, Jamie, are designed to be a little bit, need that little bit more pressure to allow them to work in their actual overall working range. You know, the tyre tells you what it needs at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you've just got to listen to it.
Let's hear from our third place team, Jotosport.
So it looks like both Uniteds are looking to pit. We will follow the leader here. We will follow the leader here.
And that's because there's a slow zone, so any pit stop now will reduce your time losses due to that slow zone for the incident, as both the Uniteds do pit, and we expect then to see Anthony
That wasn't a G-Drive car coming in, that was the EDEC Sport car, Patrick Pilet, that was following them down pit road. Dragon Speed also pitting their 21 car, Juan Pablo Montoya. The United cars are off. There's the Jotosport car behind. That is again the top three, all stopping within sight of each other in LMP2.
A little bit of confusion there with the 22, the second car in the pit there, being released. It was being pulled back to go around the 32, but the 32 then left, and so that kind of probably lost them that small bit of gap. It was half that going into the pit stop, and it's now a full second coming out.
They both spent a minute in the pits, and here is the WeatherTech Ferrari being returned to terra firma. It's a bumpy ride though, isn't it, I'm afraid?
That front splitter was getting a good hammering against the ground.
Yeah.
The reason it was a shorter pit stop was because they didn't have to refuel as much, because they had only done 6 and 7 laps. But now both United cars are on exactly the same strategy.
The Jota Sport car spent 7 seconds longer in the pit lane. It took on more fuel.
And tyres.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Romain Dumas just out of number 3 Rebellion. Louis Delatraz, the rookie, is in third place. Rebellion second and third after the turbo change for the number 7 Toyota that led pretty much all of the first 12 hours of this race. And this full course yellow down around the Tertre Rouge region to allow the rescue of the 29 Racing Team Netherlands car Nick de Vries, who had contact with the WeatherTech Ferrari. The WeatherTech Ferrari was being passed by the Eurasia car. He believed there was only one set of headlights behind him. They're so blinding it must be impossible to tell. And then tried to make the corner. Nick de Vries was down the inside as well, following the Eurasia car through, made contact with the Ferrari, and they both went off stage left at Tertre Rouge. Both ended up nosed into the barriers. De Vries with not a lot, it seemed, of damage, but there is definitely damage on the back of the WeatherTech car. So Tony Vilander will be heading back to the pit lane without any doubt at all. 10.5 hours mark, just under, with 13 hours and 31 minutes completed of the 2020 Le Mans 24 Hours. We're racing through the night in September for the second time ever in the history of the world's greatest endurance motor race. And a very tight battle for the lead of LMP2. You ride on board with the car in second place, and the car in the lead is just in front. As we go green again, they exit the slow zone. Back up to speed immediately.
Alex got a good start there.
Yeah, Alex Brundle in front of us as we ride with Felipe Albuquerque. Third place, the Jota Sport car of Antonio Felix da Costa, 23 seconds behind. And it's these three that are on the lead lap in LMP2. A couple of safety cars after dark have split the field. Nick de Vries back at Racing Team Netherlands. And this is what happened. The Ferrari being passed by the Eurasia car successfully. De Vries went in, but by that time, the Ferrari driver was committed to turning through Tertre Rouge. And unfortunately for both he and for De Vries, Tony Vilander in the Ferrari getting caught there by the Racing Team Netherlands LMP2 car. So they will both be heading to the pits. De Vries was rescued from the gravel trap first. Vilander has only just been put back on terra firma, so he will hopefully be making his way back to the pits as well. Slow zone still in effect for the next 30 seconds or so, then it will be rescinded and everybody will be back to full green track conditions, and that means that Vilander has left the area and is on his way back to the pits as we ride on board in this battle for supremacy in LMP2. It's been going on for a couple of hours between the United Autosports car. 22 has had the upper hand, then 32 over 22, and that's the way it is at the moment. Alex Brundle leading from Felipe Albuquerque and Antonio Felix da Costa. And this is Antonio, the newly crowned Formula E champion. Now, going by him, one of the LMP1 cars, so that reduces us to either one of the Toyotas or one of the Rebellions. Didn't quite spot which one it was as it went by. Antonio, one of 4 brothers.
I think that was the number 1
Rebellion.
Gustavo.
Antonio's older brother Duarte, also a racing driver. He's got another brother who's a top chef as well. Fairly talented family. Bits coming off the Racing Team Netherlands car. That will probably continue for a while. Alan Manish has abandoned us to go to his beat. And we have been joined by Peter Dumbreck. So, Peter.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is it? Oh, good grief, it is. 4 o'clock, 4:05 Central European summertime. Peter Dumbreck, Jamie Campbell, Walter Martinhaven here.
So,
lots to catch up on.
Yeah, I left 4 hours ago. I see there's been a Toyota issue for the number 7.
Yes, they led nearly half the race and then a turbo failure. And the problems for the seatbelts of Antonio Felix da Costa, they clearly either didn't do up properly or have sprung open. And these multi-point belts, the driver can't see the buckle, can't reach the buckle. And so he's had to come in because one of his belts has come undone. And he's obviously been on the radio to the Jota Sport team and has said, I need to box and get the seatbelt done. So he drops further behind the United Autosport duo that lead LMP2.
That's fairly unusual, that.
It is, isn't it?
Usually when it's clunked, that's it, it's done. So obviously didn't quite get clunked.
Yeah. But in fact, that was a double stint for him, so it's taken a while to work itself loose. He didn't get in at the last pit stop. He was already in the car, having taken over from Anthony Davidson at the previous stop. So, yeah, the Toyota lost the lead, lost second, lost third, and is now 6 laps behind the leader after a nearly 30-minute stop to change the turbo on the right-hand bank of cylinders on its internal combustion engine. And that then cycled the number 8 Toyota from a lap behind back into the lead. Number 8 now leads by 1 lap from the number 1 Rebellion, and a further lap back, make that a further 2, a further lap back is the number 3 Rebellion. And this Racing Team Netherlands car is going to take a bit of work to straighten out after its trip into the gravel, and particularly after contact with the WeatherTech Ferrari. And just looking to see if the WeatherTech Ferrari is shown as in the pit lane. It's not. Has it been in the pit lane or not? Peter, you know how to work the laptop. Just have a quick squiz and see if 63 has made a stop in the last few minutes. That was the other car involved. Been a really ding-dong battle at the head of LMP2 between the 2 United Autosports cars. Jota in 3rd, Panis Racing in 4th. Well, there's our answer. The Tony Vielander coming back towards the pit, so we've saved you all that work. Right rear puncture. So he is going as slowly as he dares and as fast as he possibly can, which is a tough balance to strike, isn't it?
Well, he clearly has lost his tyre there, which is a good thing. The carcass is gone.
Yeah.
It's not ripping the back of the car to bits, so yeah, he's able to come back fairly quickly.
It seems like a strange thing to say, doesn't it, that all the rubber has gone, and that's a good thing. On your road car, you probably wouldn't think so because you'd be looking at a new wheel, but you're right, it's the damage that all that flailing rubber and steel in the tyre carcass can do that's the big
I think
problem.
there was a fair bit going on, and it's just ripped it to bits already.
No, that was contact. That was already damaged in the when he was stationary in the gravel trap. That was the hit from the Racing Team Netherlands car. On board with Pierre Rag for Signetec Alpine, and this car now up to 9th position. One of our expected front runners. They had a very early problem from Caen in nearby Normandy, just about an hour and a half north of Le Mans. So Pierre Rag chasing the car in front, which is not in front of us on the screen. Ben Hanley is in 8th position. I beg your pardon, no, he's chasing Nicolas Lapierre, who is in 8th position for Cool Racing. Ben Hanley is in 7th for Dragon Speed. The number 27 car is working its way very resolutely up the order.
Remember, Cool Racing, the number 42 car, also had a big issue early in the race, and they've gradually worked their way up as well. After that, you know, they were almost last of the P2 runners.
And you know what? If you had an issue early on in P2, you did quite well to have it early on, because there have been so many issues in LMP2 at the moment. How many issues? Well, here's how many. The EDEC Sport car number 28 of Paul Lafargue, you can see it there in 10th position. That car started last and a lap down on the entire field, including the LMP2 field, and it is in 10th place in the LMP2 category. And its sister car is in 14th place, Jonathan Kennard in the number 17 car. Both cars were half destroyed in practice crashes on Thursday, so much so in fact that the 28 car had to have a new tub, a whole new chassis into which the engine, gearbox and electronics and everything else, including the fuel cell, it was really a bare tub, were rebuilt on Friday. So the IDEC Sport team, with both of their cars requiring major intervention surgery, and in fact a full quad bypass effectively for the 28 car. The more damaged of the two is actually the one that's having a slightly better run through the field at the moment.
I'd imagine they've got a group of pretty tired mechanics and engineers down in that team right now.
Yeah, they're counting their blessings that they're not having to set to every time the car comes in now, aren't they? Of course, there's still a very long way to go. In fact, there's a lot of darkness still to go. We're probably not even going to see the beginning of light in the sky for at least another 2 hours. Normally, it's 11 minutes past 4 Central European summertime. We would be starting in the next 15 or 20 minutes in June to see the sky lightening. Don't expect that to happen for at least another 2.5 hours.